So for this week's main topic, it is the holiday season. I told you that it was just the three of us for Thanksgiving, but oftentimes you're getting together with family. I hope everybody out there had a wonderful Thanksgiving. Hopefully you were able to get together with family, get together with friends. But yes, this is the holiday season. You get lots of chances to do this, but maybe there are many opportunities throughout the year. And sometimes one of the things you like to do with family is sit down and play a good old-fashioned fun board game, right, Michelle?
Yeah, or friends too.
Yes, absolutely.
Get the gang together.
Yeah. And one of the things that we love is we love all sorts of board games, but man, you get to slap a Mickey Mouse on there or a Star Wars character or some other Disney IP on it, and we're probably that much more involved in it. And so we have purchased a few games over the years. And we're going to discuss some of those games that we've gone through, and Michelle's going to share some interesting things on some of her favorites, right?
Yes. And well, I can't say that they're all my very favorites, but they all have a favorite aspect to them. If we talked about all my favorites, again, it would be a really long episode. My top 5 would be 10 or 12. So
like every other episode, essentially.
Exactly. But yeah, at least we'll delve into some that are, have some unique components to it that may interest people.
Yeah. What mostly these are some games that we own, and Michelle's kind of going to run through them and tell you what she loves about them and what some of them are the best. And maybe you enjoy some of these games as well. Maybe you have them in your closet or wherever you store your games as well. Or maybe you've seen them inside, that Disney shop, or when you're perusing through Shop Disney or whatever it is, and thought, that might be an interesting game that I'd love to play with our family, but you're just not sure. Well, Michelle is going to share a few things about them that maybe will tilt one way or the other for you.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
So let's go ahead, Michelle. Go ahead and take it away, please.
All right. Get ready to roll the dice. Here we go.
Oh, boy.
I
prefer a spinner. Can I use a spinner?
Yes. And these games have all of these segments. All right. Where do we start? I guess, why don't we start with the Goofy game?
A Goofy movie game?
I guess I didn't plan this out.
It's all right. It'll be fine for the audio version because I'll edit that out. Here for the video version, everybody see her lean over. Yeah, it's all good.
All right. This is a Goofy movie game. I was originally going to start out with something else, and I should not have.
To the side for the camera, so
I should not have veered away from that. So, and I'm.
Here, I'll hold it up.
Thank you. There we go.
There we go.
All right. There. That was a lot of time just to show that.
That's all going to be edited out of the actual audio version.
Thank you. I was going to show the board. And now I'm not sure if I should, because part of this game that's so cute is how much it resembles and captures the essence of the game.
With the winding, it's got the winding path of basically that they took to get to wherever they were going as they end up in LA.
Yes.
On the Goofy movie.
Yes, Goofy's map that's all wiry and everything. But as for those of you who are watching it, and for those of
I like the back too. Can I?
The back.
For those of you listening, the back is actually a Powerline poster for the Los Angeles. Try and hold it up to the camera. For the Los Angeles show.
Right.
Kind of cool.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's a beautiful little game for sure. And it's because it's a Goofy movie. I think they did gear the gameplay to be more towards kids. When Scott and I play it, we love having the movie on in the background. It just adds to the fun.
I all love having that movie on regularly in the background.
But I mean, like the die is huge. It's kind of hard.
It's very kid friendly die. Yeah, it's got different. It's got like the Powerline symbol on there, and it's got Goofies and.
Yeah, there's not a lot because, again, to make it more simple for the kids, you're not rolling numbers. There's just a couple of symbols, and that kind of helps you do something on the board. So, again, very kid friendly. We like it. It's a lot of fun. There's, obviously more than just rolling a dice and moving. The only thing that I would say about it is the point system at the end where you determine the winner can be confusing, especially to kids, because
Mm,
it's not a consistent one for one. For certain things, they get a higher value.
mm.
So for kids who might not be ready to really consider strategies and everything, that they might think, oh, I have a lot of these things, so I should win. But maybe they don't have as many, that another
Many things that
player
are more
has more of,
impactful or
right.
yeah, are worth more.
Right. So that's the only thing that I would say might be a little bit difficult
But I would
for
think as
the
you've
little
played
ones.
it more often, you would kind of get used to that. Even as a kid, you might get to know it a little bit better.
Right. And, Scott and I have played it where everything was equal. So everything got a same number of points and
Well,
things
you can
like that.
always, I mean, there are rules to these games, but that doesn't mean there's so many games you
Yes.
nuance to what you prefer, which is fine.
Right. Yeah. So it's fun. It doesn't take a ton of time. Probably for 2 or 3 players, I would estimate it usually takes us about 30 minutes on average, maybe a little less, a little more.
That's not a long game. No.
Yeah. Yeah.
You can do
So
it a couple times. The movie's on. You can do it about 3 times.
right. Exactly. All right. So, anyways, love this. I think the thing that's really appealing, whether it's for us or for kids, is just the look of it. How really, as I mentioned, it captures the colors, the visuals of the game. I mean, of the film. So you get that with this game. So.
Yeah, I love the map board. That's really cool. I think that's a good aspect of it for sure. And you even get like little figurines, like the little power line figurine. You see him right here when I'm showing in the video. There's one of the game pieces that you can move around the board is actually power line.
Really cool. And you
cool.
also can have, I'll let you do that one. That's Goofy. And then,
yeah, and some others.
Yeah, some others. And the rest.
And the rest. I just don't want to sit here on an audio podcast and keep showing things to the camera.
Yeah, but they are cute little pieces that they have. It really does capture that. And I think it's a sturdy game. The board is pretty heavy and thick, and the game pieces are plastic, has cards, but they're pretty substantial too. So good game.
Yeah, cool. I don't know if I've ever played that one. I know you guys have. Yeah. I don't think I've sat down with you and played that one.
Right.
So I may have to do that sometime soon.
Yeah, I think you'd like it.
I think the next one coming up is one that I have played, though.
Yes, excuse me. So the next one is the Jungle Cruise book. I mean, boy, you're going to have a lot of editing for the audio part.
It's so rare. But man, try and get Michelle to do 3 things at once. Woo!
It is.
No, it says the problem is the camera. It's like trying to figure out where to show things onto a camera is always difficult.
Yeah. So anyways, and maybe I shouldn't show as many of the larger pieces, but it's the Jungle Cruise adventure game. And obviously it is themed after the ride or the attraction, the Jungle Cruise. And it is really an adorably cute game. What it is you're actually riding and taking boats, filling it with passengers and cargo, and making your way through. And it is just hilarious because as you're going through this game and moving your little boats along the canals and the pathways of the waterways, you also get to share with each other some of the jokes that you would hear on the Jungle Cruise, or that would be the type of jokes that you would hear on the Jungle Cruise attraction. So it adds that element of fun in that regards.
Yeah, you basically draw cards that have the jokes, and then just depending on what is involved with the joke is something that is in action with the game as well.
Right.
And yeah, it's fun.
It is. It's adorable.
As somebody who loves the Jungle Cruise and loves corny dad jokes like the Jungle Cruise jokes. And some of them are the ones you've heard a million times, and some of them might be a little new to you.
Right. So although I think little kids could play this, I think it's a little bit more advanced, maybe once you're about 8 or 9, 10, maybe on up, that you could have a little bit better appreciation.
Might be better for the younger kids to kind of team up with them, possibly.
Right, right. Because there is strategy involved in it. It has some elements that you would think of with Clue, the game Clue, because you do have a special family that you're trying to preserve. And you don't know that, but you can gain some clues along the pathway.
Yeah, basically you're losing passengers as you go along. Like sometimes they'll fall overboard or something. I don't know, but you're losing passengers. But you want to just there's this yes, as you Michelle said, there's a special family that's involved that you won't know which one it is that you need to, or it's a special group of travel. I don't know if it's necessarily a family. It's like a group of travelers that are within the same organization that need to make it to the finish line.
Right. But it is funny because there's a lot of fun little nods to the game. I mean, to the attraction in the game. And you are losing passengers, but you're gaining passengers. You're, picking up cargo, losing cargo. Different parts of your boat are more safe than others, and it's well thought out. I think there's a lot of good strategy to it and a lot of humor as well. I love it. What about you?
Oh yeah, it's one of my favorite Disney games that we've ever purchased. As far as the strategy involved, which is interesting. The fact that it is the attraction. In many regards, right there on a board game with the jokes and everything else about it, and the intrigue and the fun and the a bit of adventure. I love it. I think it's a great game. I really do.
I do. So, I mean, in terms of duration, it can go a little longer. I think I would say it's more on the side of maybe 45 minutes on up, depending on other. If you take longer to decide, people as they're doing the game take more time with strategy or thoughts or whatever.
And there's certain paths you can take that may take a little bit longer. So if everybody goes the shorter route, then the game's probably going to end a little more quickly. Right. If everybody takes the longer route, then it could be a few more minutes until you get it all wrapped up and decide if we want to play again.
Right. And I would compare that strategy kind of like with the game of life. So you could take a shorter pathway and maybe get to the end quicker, but you're not gaining knowledge about some of the clues that might be important and helpful at the end. So.
It's all part of the strategy of how you go through this game and decide how you want to approach it. Do you, are you picking up other things? Because there are benefits of getting to the finish line earlier and there are also benefits of, finding out the clues and everything else. So it's weighing that option. And a lot of it depends on what everybody else is doing and, how your roles are going and everything else. There's a lot of it's, like I said, it's fun. There are simple aspects to it, but there's some interesting intrigue to it.
Yes. It's one of those few games that I think that we find even playing with just the two of us is enjoyable. I mean, obviously it's more fun with more people. I mean, there's really only 4 of the boats. So if you have more than 4 people, you can team up, and we've done that before with a larger group. But it is fun even with 2 people.
Yeah, it is. It's a good game. It really is. It's one of my favorites.
All right. Let's see. I guess I'm not going to show it because that makes it seem to be very difficult to talk and show at the same time.
What are you trying to show?
Oh, the Star Wars.
Okay, that I can show. I have a slide.
All right. So Star Wars Clue, it's a clue game, right? It's just like the concept of it is the same as any other clue game, but it obviously in the genre of Star Wars. And it is a lot of fun and adorable. And as you can see from the picture, if you're watching this on the video, it has multiple layers.
Basically, you're in the Death Star. Okay, you're inside the Death Star. What it looks like, and so the different rooms within the Death Star that you might enter are the different rooms like you would think of in normal, regular Clue. Right.
That you're moving around. You're trying to determine where Darth Vader will attack next. Which planet and everything. So. But yeah, it's cute. It's fun to move through it. The character pieces, obviously, are the ones you'd expect. For Star Wars, you have Luke and Leia and Chewbacca and C-3PO, R2-D2.
It's more original trilogy, right?
Right. but it is really just kind of fun, and you have a lot of cute encounters and things that you deal with as you're playing the game.
Yeah, as a Star Wars fan and a fan of Clue, both of those things are very intriguing to me, and yeah, it's right up my alley.
Yeah, yeah. I just found it so much more intriguing than even, and I love Clue, but this I found.
Because you love Star Wars too. You're
I
like me.
do,
You love Star
yes.
Wars too. So you're adding both those things together, and yeah, she's all on board.
Yeah. I don't know why this hasn't happened yet, but I'm wondering how can we get a game with Pat and Charles from Conversation, because
Well, one, they actually need to come to our house. They've avoided coming to our house, even though we live in the same state as us. They've for some reason said, you know what, we're not going over there. But eventually it's going to happen.
Well,
we're going to get together and we're going to have some fun. We also, speaking of this, we were talking about earlier about our guest last week, already invited him over because apparently Charles has not seen Mystery Science Theater 3000 or more, not more than 5 minutes or anything. How has that not happened?
I know.
We need to sit down and you need to have a mini marathon of Mystery Science Theater 3000. And, I'll cook and we'll enjoy that. And maybe we'll break out this game as well, a little Star Wars Clue.
There you go. There you go. Of course, here we're digging on them for not coming to our house, but I don't know that we haven't made the effort to go over to the West Coast. So
really, we weren't just there in what was it, March or February or whatever it was?
Yeah. Okay. No. Okay, guys.
Sorry, we're way off track. Let's pull it back in here. Let's pull it back in.
All right. So I guess then, anything else you want to say about Star Wars Clue?
No, I mean, it's got everything you want if you're a Star Wars fan, if you got family who are Star Wars fans, and if you love Clue, like these go hand in hand. I've already said it. I'm doubling down on it, but man, I love Clue. It's one of my favorite all-time games just to play. Just love Clue. And then you throw in Star Wars and a 2-layer Death Star layout and everything. It's like, yeah, do it. Check it out. It's fun.
Yeah.
I'm sure you can find it. I don't know if it's readily available in the stores, but you can find it out there if you look around online.
Right. So, all right. So the next game that we'll talk about, and this is one that I struggled with whether to get it or not for a long time, and that is Monopoly, the Walt Disney World Parks edition. And so it's Monopoly. It's this, I mean, everything about it is the same in terms of the game play. Even the dollar amounts are the same as a regular Monopoly board.
It's just like any other Monopoly, in that they've themed to something else. All the different streets are themed to something. They're attractions. Walt Disney World related, but you've seen many versions of Monopoly,
right?
And it's an easily adaptable game because you can just start naming streets after something that everybody knows within that theme,
right?
And you can go, and it's still a game that everybody knows and loves, and yet you still have that influence of that IP, whatever it might be. And yes, Walt Disney World, perfect.
Exactly, in a park of all things. So it as I've mentioned, what you're purchasing are attractions versus real estate and everything. And as with all the other monopolies that have been customized to certain themes, this has some great influences of Disney. Like they have one of the pieces is like a Disney cruise ship. They have Disney parks popcorn bucket.
Oh, this is not a Disney Parks popcorn bucket. It's way too plain. Have you seen the popcorn buckets?
Well,
nowadays?
Yeah.
This is just like a regular popcorn bucket with the Mickey on it.
It's like an OG.
Old school. It is not like the fancy popcorn buckets you get nowadays.
Right. And they have Mickey ears and Cinderella's slipper on a pillow. And the one that I really think is adorable for the dog is the one from the Pirates of the Caribbean holding the ring with the keys in its mouth. So, really cute. The other thing obviously is instead of having dollars, their currency is wishes. So they have, 1 wish, 5 wish, 10, those that obviously
all the wishes,
just like what the denominations you would see in a regular Monopoly board, and in the chants and things, they have like magic and fantasy cards that you get to do some other things when you land on certain squares or whatever. So, but I think the thing that makes it over the top for Disney fans and Disney park fans is the board itself has a pop-up castle. And I'm struggling with it as I hand it over to Tom, but we're getting there. We're getting there. Careful. There we go. It's the Cinderella's castle, and it is just really beautiful to have that in the center of the board. Just reminds you you're playing a Disney Parks game. So.
And the best part about it is that you don't have to build it. It just pops up out of the center of the board.
Right.
You know,
exactly.
It's not one of those, like even we were just talking about Star Wars. Cool. You sort of have to build the Death Star board a little bit. I mean, it's not difficult, but you have to
pop
do
into
it.
place. Yeah.
Yeah. This is just, you just open the board and there goes the castle. It just, ta-da! Little pixie dust, and Tinkerbell comes down, sprinkles a little pixie dust, and boom, there's a castle.
Yes. So, again, if you're a lover of Monopoly, this is a game that you would enjoy for sure. It's easy game to teach even kids or whatever, and it has, I think, the familiar elements of it that kids would understand for Disney. So,
yeah,
I think it's.
I mean, other than the tediousness that can be Monopoly, but trying to play it. I mean, you can play some rules that'll make it move along more quickly.
Right.
That's the problem, is keeping kids entertained for a whole game of Monopoly. That's the problem with Monopoly.
Right.
But I'm sure you can play it in a way that kids will be involved and really get a kick out of it and enjoy it just the same.
Exactly. So, all right. So the last game that we're going to talk about today is, say the name right, A Visit to Walt Disney World, Magic Kingdom Park, a game that's a world of fun. So this one, and I'm going to have you show a picture of the actual game for this one. This one, I held to the last because one, it has that look of nostalgia of an old type of game that you would think of from the 50s or 60s. The color scheme of it and everything. The way the board sets up, though, is in essence you kind of have the park there, Magic Kingdom Park, and you get to move around there. This is great for kids. I think it's a great game if you're trying to find something to give to kids in preparation for a trip to Walt Disney World. It's not identical to the park, but it's got a lot of cute elements. I think it would be cute for them. But the other thing I like about it is that you have tickets, and you're working with tickets to go to certain attractions or parts of the board, and so I loved the little ticket booklets and things. And I think a game that adds that to it is just wonderful. It's a game that I could see for some kids, they get it right away, and others might have some struggle because you think you're going one way and then the next card says you got to defer and go to another direction. And so I think overall it's entertaining, but sometimes, like when I play it with Scott, he's sometimes like, okay, wait, I thought I was going in this direction, and now I'm not quite, but understanding why I'm changing directions and things. So, but it's still a lot of fun. But I think even more so, it's adorable. It has the walls around it have the pictures of the Contemporary Hotel and the Poly, and you have little monorails that you use in there. It really tries to capture a lot of essence. You have the teacups and the Haunted Mansion, and those come into play as well. And it's just nice how they do the setup. It's fairly sturdy. And you're actually using the back of the board to hold up the castle part that's in the back of it. And I just think it's a really cute game. It has a lot of elements that remind you of the parks. And so it's adorable.
It's cute. I've never played it. Looks like it's made more for younger kids.
Right.
Which is good. And, we've talked about some games that are more steer, maybe a little bit older kids or adults. This is more of a, younger kids game,
right,
and still evolving around the Disney parks and everything. Like you said, getting excited to head out to Walt Disney World or the Magic Kingdom or whatever it might
right.
be. Yeah, that's cool. It's fun, and I like the setup for sure.
Yeah, it's like I said, it's adorable. It just brings nostalgia back. I can't say it's the most thrilling game to play, but it's adorable. So
Kids, as long as kids love it, doesn't matter. I mean, as long as your kids have a good time, it's thrilling to watch them have a good time playing a game, right?
Right, exactly. So, anyways, those are the games that I wanted to feature. Like I said, we do have some others. Are there any other Disney games that I may not have featured that you particularly like or want to bring up?
I mean, we have some others that are really interesting. Again, Star Wars fans, Star Wars Life is interesting because it's basically going through, trying to plan that path, just like the game of life, but you're planning your path through the Star Wars world and how you're going to approach.
Yeah, you're going to go light side or dark side.
Right, exactly.
What kind of Jedi?
That's a cool game. I don't know if we've played this or we haven't played it in a long time, but the Tower of Terror Clue, again, I'm on for board for anything Clue, but then you throw in Tower of Terror. That's kind of fun too. So I'm on board for that as well.
Yeah, that is a great one, and love that one. I love the pieces to it because I think it's just adorable.
Yeah,
and you're not obviously doing a murder mystery there,
So many great games there. I mean, we just barely brushed the surface of how many great Disney games are out there. And if there's a game you love, I saw when I was going through there's a version of Sorry that's villains. Sorry.
Yes.
I'm like, yeah, I'm on board. There's a couple of the villains versions of these games that we're already discussing. Again, any game you love that you can attach some Disney IP, that whatever it is, I've seen Little Mermaid Monopoly, I've seen all sorts of things. If there's something you love, it's out there, and it's probably going to be a lot of fun.
Yes, there's some more like role-playing games with the villainous and things, and I think those look great. And I've heard from friends that they love them. I tend to purchase games that I feel like Scott could get involved with more. So I may be more shying away from some of those other ones, but
lots of card games now. The Lorcana are big right now. Those are huge. But there are lots of card games out there as well.
Right. So anyways, all right. So that was our look at some of the board games, but I actually wanted to throw in here some dialogue with Tom. I want to get
as we're not showing anything else to the camera. Okay.
I apologize to our listeners for being so clunky when it comes to this. Not well thought out. Anyways, but maybe some reveals about gameplay with you.
Okay.
All right. So first of all, honey, do you need to have all the cards or the money set up in the same way, or or if you're playing with others, like, and they don't do that, is it something that irks you?
Yes, 100%. I don't understand it. I don't know how you don't have things in order. And if you're running around trying to go through all your money or whatever in Monopoly and figure out where the fives are, and it drives me crazy. I don't understand it. Like, as soon as I get it, it's like all together. Everything, I have to have it that way. I have to. It's just wrong. I'm sorry. It's just wrong. I mean, play the game however you want, but man, I'm going to judge you. I am going to judge you if you mix up all your stuff.
I know. I've played with some people who, with their Monopoly money, it's all just spread like in a pile. It's not even by categories of denominations of the money, and that's so funny. But yeah, I'm the same way, especially with the cards. They have to be all faced the right way, even when they're
have to be grouped together if there's a certain type that goes together with each other. Yeah.
Do you call everything that's a monetary thing money in a game, or gold or something like that? Or do you go along with whatever
I'll go along with the game. I mean, if the Monopoly, the Disney Monopoly calls it wishes, I'm going to say I want 100 wishes. I mean, maybe I might slip and call it dollars, but anyway, I'm going to try and go along with what the game terminology is.
Yeah. All right. All right. So if you were going to store these in the closet or cabinet or on a shelf, do you like to store them horizontally or like book style?
Well, I guess it's what's most efficient. I horizontally, I'll stack them on top of one another, not next, not like, I'm too afraid they're gonna, like, I'm gonna pull something out and then the game's gonna open up and all the pieces are gonna spill out, whereas if they're on top of one another, if you pull one out, everything else is gonna still be self-contained in its box the way it's supposed to be.
Interesting. Yeah, I'm more the book style, like I mean, unless it's a really long one that
Right.
not long.
I mean, it depends on space as well, but that I would say that's how I would normally put it. You know?
All right. Do you get into your character when playing?
Depends on the game.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, sometimes
Talk like them?
well, it's all arbitrary. Do I really ever talk like any character? Because I'm not like Pat from Conversations where I can just break into character voices at any time.
Good. He's pretty good.
But I might try and slip something in here and there, but I don't think I go completely to that.
I see.
Yeah.
All right. Any other quirks you have about game playing that I hadn't thought about?
I don't know if I have any quirks. I'm very much into rules. I'm a rule follower, and so I hope everybody else follows the rules too. And I'm okay changing the rules, but that needs to be spoken before you start playing the game. You can't be changing rules as the game goes on, unless you start running into a game. You're like, okay, it's running long. We need to wrap this up because we got X to do or Y to do or whatever it is. Then I'm okay with changing the rules. But other than that, no, you need the rules are what the rules are to begin the game. You have to continue to follow those rules.
That's true. I do know that you are competitive in playing, and that you're not one to say, okay, because this person is a child or whatever, they're going to get.
It makes it that much rewarding when they do beat you later on. The fact that, you've beaten them 18 times in a row or whatever, and on the 19th time they've beaten you. But if you've let them win several times during that, it's not the same thing.
Right. And a loss may feel even worse.
Right.
So, anyways. All right. So anyways, thought that would be a fun little component to include today as we talk about board games, but I think we have something else planned too.
Yeah, well, we're going to get back into the drawing things out of a hat, because that is what we've become now, is we've become the podcast that draws things out of a hat. But little scenarios that we're going to do game-wise, and maybe have some Disney characters or whatever involved in it. Michelle, go ahead. You go first. We're going to draw two each. Two each.
All right. Oh, wow. Okay. Captain Phasma, Captain Hook, and Captain Marvel are playing the Jungle Cruise adventure game. Who will be best at pulling off those Jungle Cruise jokes?
First of all, I need to be, why are those three together?
They're all captains.
Yes, but I mean, it's interesting that those three are sat down for game night. It's quite a combination. What was the question again about them?
Who will be best at pulling off the Jungle Cruise jokes?
Oh, I'm going to say that's actually going to be Phasma.
Oh.
I think Phasma has just got this little snarky wit to her that she will kind of, I think that Hook would be funny, but he'd be overly dramatically funny. And meanwhile, Captain Marvel would be funny, but it'd be just so deadpan that, I think that Phasma would nail the nice snark that's involved with some of these jokes to make it perfect.
Now that you're saying that, I get that. As you were talking and I was thinking of this, I thought more Captain Hook. Mm-hmm. I think I would like the drama that he would bring to it about it. I think he would be smirky about it as well. But yeah, I like your answer.
Yeah.
All right.
Interesting. My turn to draw something out of a hat here. What do we got here? Okay, so Buzz Lightyear is playing Star Wars Clue with Woody and Rex. How do you think he handles playing a quote unquote space game? Michelle, what do you think?
What do I think? I think at first he might find it intriguing, but then I think he might get too lost in the game personally and might have a hard time trying to actually play the game instead of trying to, solve what he thinks is wrong or right or whatever. I think you just and I also think with Star Wars, because his story has some parallels, with his father and things like that, that he might be judgmental when it comes to playing it. I don't know. I think it would be rough for him.
I think it depends on when we're playing this game. I mean, if you're talking Buzz Lightyear from the first Toy Story, where doesn't understand that he's a toy most of the way through it, then he's going to have some issues in trying to understand why are they telling this story that is very much like my character's story.
I think that's where I was thinking.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, if you go forward from there through where he is for the other few movies and towards the end of the original Toy Story, he's going to realize that this is a game, that this isn't my life, that I am this toy, that this is what this is going on here. He will laugh, I think, at some of the coincidences that they're tied together within it, but mostly he will focus in on the clue aspect of it, because at heart he's a bit of a detective at heart, as you see a lot in Toy Story 2, as he's trying to figure out where Woody's been taken to and everything.
Yes.
And so he, as a detective, is going to try and really put in on these clues and figure it out. Meanwhile, Woody's just going to go and have a great time and just have fun with it. And Rex is just going to be all frantic about the game and like, I don't want to take a guess because I might get it all wrong. And then what happens? I'm out of the game. But I think that Buzz would nail it down. I think he'd be a really, really good as Buzz later on in the, as most of the movies, would be a very good clue player.
Yeah, I think it would be fun to see it both ways, right? We know right now, he's not just out of the box, so he would play it like you were saying, and then do the reset to his original factory settings, and then watch him play that. I think that would be hilarious.
Spanish Buzz.
Yes, that would be hilarious. All right, so
Michelle's turn to take one out of the hat here. The next scenario we have is going to be...
Oh, okay. The Hitchhiking Ghosts are hosting their first game night in the Haunted Mansion. What game do you think they'll choose to play?
Wow. Well, it's hard because they're ghosts. They're not going to be able to. Well, I guess maybe they can psychically move the pieces around a board
you just got to figure they can do it.
Okay. I'm going to go completely away from board games, though, just because I think that they're what the Hitchhiking Ghosts do best. Like hand gestures. So I'm going to go with they're going to play charades. They're going to sit down with everybody and they're going to play a nice, strong game of charades. And they can also, make things happen because they can twist and do some different things with their bodies and make interesting things happen to kind of express what they're trying to get people to guess on. So I'm going to go with charades is the game that's
a good one. Yeah. I think that would be good, or some of the other question games. Trying to stick with some of the ones that we talked about today, and this is a struggle for me, but I think I'm going to say a Goofy movie game. They've had some, we know that some ghosts have had experiences with Goofy we've seen that in some of the animated classics. So they, whether they're living in the Haunted Mansion as well, or maybe the lore of Goofy and how funny it is to kind of tease and manipulate him. I think they would find doing that in a game would also be pretty enjoyable.
Well,
and involving also maybe, giving a hard time to his son as well. So.
I would love to see the Hitchhiking Ghosts play a Goofy movie game. 100%. That'd be amazing. And I'm on board for it. Let's make that happen. So, there we go. Okay, last one. I'm in the hat here, pulling out the last one, the last scenario that we're going to go through here. Oh boy. Hondo Ohnaka, Maleficent, and Lady Tremaine sit down for a high-stakes game of Risk. Who forms alliances and who tries to take over the world by sheer force? And, of course, which one of them will flip over the table when things look bad? All right, Michelle, you're first on this one.
Funny characters. I actually think that Maleficent and Lady Tremaine might form an alliance, because I think they do think strategy and manipulation in that regards. But I think once they're within their alliance, I think it's still going to be a pretty tough way to move on. But I do think they could. I don't think that Hondo would necessarily try to flip over the board, wink, wink. But he may, have something that he has to quickly take care of, or, another way of making money, and his rapid arm movements or something. Whoops, the game pieces are over. I don't know. What do you think?
I'm going to go with Hondo Ohnaka. Definitely is going to try and build an alliance, because that's all he does. He's always working a deal. He's always trying to work something out, something for profit. He's trying to figure it all out, and he'll work as many deals. He may have an alliance with both of them, and maybe somebody who's not even involved in the game. He will try and do everything he can to make sure he wins. Taking over by force, Maleficent. Maleficent is the one who would definitely take over by force, I believe. I think it would be her. Flipping over the table, I think when things don't go her way, that Lady Tremaine's going to bring in the ugly stepsisters, and they're going to flip over the table for her to make sure she won't do it herself, but she'll get them in to do the dirty work
a good
for
point.
her.
Yes.
So that's how I would see it playing out.
Oh, I actually think you're spot on with your response there.
I couldn't have the audience vote on this one as opposed to when we had the sidekick one.
I know.
Lost by a landslide. Maybe I would have won this one.
Well, maybe you could put
But
it
probably
out there
not
anyway,
because
so-
everybody lost Michelle.
No,
so she wins anyway.
no. That you had stronger answers, and so
That was fun.
Good job.
It's fun. Disney board games are great. If you've never owned one, check them out. I mean, really, if there's one that's kind of you've had your eyeball on out there in the shops, Shop Disney, whatever, purchase it. There's so much fun, and especially if it's something a type of game that you love, like Clue, like Life, like Monopoly, like any of these other ones. Believe me, it's only enhanced if they have these characters that you love involved with them, or these worlds. They do full world building,
Right?
And it is a good time. So please check it out. And I know we've only named a few here. Obviously we've already mentioned there are so many games that we don't own or that we have never played. Is there one that's your favorite? Let us know. We'd love to find out other games. We're always good for another board game. So please let us know, right, Michelle?
Yeah, let us know your recommendations.
Yeah. So that is our little family fun time with Disney board games.